Okay, this sequence is going to be to help address the low back. So the secret to unlocking the low back is in lengthening through the side body, that hip to armpit portion of the body, as well as getting into psoas, the hip flexors, and opening up this space here. And the orientation of the femur bones, the thigh bones, to the pelvis. So I'll invite you to choose how you would like to begin this practice. You can start out lying on your back, and you have a couple of options. If you have access to wall space, then you can take legs up the wall, just reaching the heels up. You can have a soft bend in the knees. You can also be scooted further back so that your knees bend at 90 degrees over your hips. And this still lets those femur bones sink down. And if wall space isn't available to you, you can always just come to lying on your back on the mat. Feel free to use a folded beach towel or anything that you might like under your hips or under your head, the same way that you would use a yoga blanket. Press into your heels and the backs of your arms to help you lift and hover your hips slightly, then pull your hips towards your heels as you lower back down. This creates length in the lumbar spine. And then let the sacrum rest and grow heavy on the mat. You can walk your feet out to about mat's width apart if you're choosing this variation, and you can let your knees fall in on each other. And then if your legs are up the wall, or if you have your feet on the wall with your knees bent, you just want to make sure that your knees aren't splaying out to the side. So just encourage that internal rotation. And from here, start to become aware of your breath. Taking slow and full breaths, and allowing that breath to be full by focusing on emptying out the exhale completely before letting the inhale occur naturally. And so as we press the navel to the spine to empty out the breath, we make space for the inhale to fill us up. And so keep breathing in this manner, exhaling completely, pressing the navel to the spine to help press the air out, and inhaling, inflating the belly to stretch and tone the diaphragm, and then expanding the chest, and then emptying out again. Take just a few more breaths here. Try to bring your attention and your mind's eye to the hips and the sacrum, inviting heaviness there. Think about gravity helping to draw the thigh bones down towards the mat. Try to think about softening the inner thigh and the front of the hips, as well as the glutes. And just continue to watch your breath. Notice the movement in and out of your body. Notice the expansion of your ribs. Notice the expansion of your back into the mat or the surface beneath you. And then empty out your next breath completely, pressing all of the air out. Take another big, deep breath in. And empty out again. And from wherever you're at, slowly start to let your knees fall towards your chest. So if your legs were up the wall or your feet were on the wall, just let gravity pull the knees in. And if your feet were planted on the mat, just slowly draw the knees in. You might start to rock a little bit here gently from side to side, massaging the low back, the tops of the hips, the muscles around the sacrum. And then come into neutral. Slowly make your way to lying down flat on your mat. Legs extended, arms out by your side. And separate your feet so that they're mat's width apart. Turn your palms to face up. Flex your feet, reaching out through your heels. Draw your toes back towards your face. Your toes and knees point up towards the ceiling. Turn your palms to face up and press your shoulder blades back towards the mat. Press the back of your head gently into the mat and reach your tail towards your heels, finding length in your spine here. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. Deep breath in. Full breath out and release. Lift your left foot and bring it over to the right side of your mat, crossing your left ankle over your right. Inhale to reach your arms up overhead. Take your right hand and grab your left wrist and draw your upper body over to the right. So you're making this banana-like shape, this curve, with your feet and your hands towards the right side of your mat and your hips towards the left. And here you want both shoulder blades to be grounded, both hips to be grounded, and use your breath to expand that left side of your body. Feeling your breath stretching the intercostal muscles between your ribs. Slow, deep breaths in and out, really thinking about filling up that space in the left side body from the hips to the armpits. Take one more breath. And on an inhale, come back through center, uncross the left ankle, bring your arms back down by your side. Pause for a moment. Notice any changes that occurred, any difference from the right to the left, from the left to the right. And then again, with your feet mat's width apart, lift that right foot, cross the right ankle over the left on the left side of the mat this time. Inhale to reach the arms overhead. And then take your right wrist with your left hand, draw your torso over to the left. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. Continue to breathe deeply, letting the ribs expand, this time on the right side of your body. Feeling your breath opening and lengthening that right side. Again, both shoulder blades are grounded, both hips are grounded. And as you're ready, take one more breath. Deep breath in to fill up. Full breath out to empty. And then inhale back to center. Reach the arms overhead, reach through the heels. You can hook the thumbs and reach back behind you. Take a big deep breath in, finding length. And as you exhale, tuck and curl into a small ball, drawing your knees in, lifting your forehead towards your knees. Inhale to open up. Exhale to tuck and curl. One more. Inhale, open. And exhale, tuck and curl. Bring your hands behind your knees and just start to rock and roll up and down the length of your spine, massaging out the spine. You can let your feet kick up overhead, and then rocking your way up to seated, coming through seated into a tabletop position. Knees beneath the hips, wrists beneath the shoulders. If you've got wrist issues, you can turn your hands out at an angle. If you've got some shoulder issues, you can walk your hands wider or walk them forward. And then wherever you're at, press into your hands, spreading your fingertips, and press your tail back, draw your navel in, pull your sternum forward. Finding this neutral tabletop position, reaching in opposition, the base of the spine reaches back as the crown of the head reaches forward. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. And then we'll move through just a few rounds of cat-cow. On your inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze, spread the sits bones as you pull the heart forward. And then exhale to round from the base of the spine, pressing the heart up towards the ceiling, dropping your head between your biceps. Inhale to shift forward into cow, belly drops, gaze lifts, heart pulls forward, sits bones spread. Exhale to round the back. Head drops, heart presses to the ceiling. Take one more round, moving with your breath. And then come back into neutral tabletop position. As you're ready, start to walk your hands forward. Keep your hips over your knees. As your hands move forward, your chest will melt down towards the mat, coming into a puppy stretch or the heart melting pose. You can walk your hands a little wider to make some space for your shoulders. Rest your forehead down on the mat. Let your belly be soft. And press your hands as if you're shoving the mat away to help press your hips back. Take a couple of slow, deep breaths here. And on an inhale, press yourself back up into your neutral tabletop position. Move through a round of cat-cow if it seems like that would feel good to you. And then take some time stepping your right foot forward between your hands. Feel free to pad your left knee with a blanket or a folded towel if you would like. And you can keep your hands down on the mat. You can come to fingertips if you would like. Decide if you need to walk that left knee back, if you've got more space. Take your time doing that. And then start to draw the right hip back as you draw the left hip forward. And then sink your hips very slowly down towards the mat. Pull your heart up. lifting the sternum. So the sensation that we're looking for here is going to be on the front of the left thigh, getting into the psoas, the hip flexors, opening up the front of that left thigh. And just take a couple of slow, deep breaths here. Continue to gently sink the hips towards the mat. Just think about them being heavy. You're not forcing or pressing them down. And then as you're ready, you might bring both hands to your right thigh. And again, sink the hips down, pressing that right knee forward. Pulling the shoulders back, reaching the tail down. And if you'd like a little more sensation on the front of the left thigh, you can reach the left arm up, and then you might even side bend over to the right. Just an invitation, not a necessity. Take a deep breath in here, and a full breath out. Inhale to come back up. Exhale to release down. Both hands find the mat. Step that right knee back. Separate your knees out wide, big toes together. Sink back to find child's pose. Let your forehead come down to the mat or to a block or a book. Rock your forehead gently from side to side, massaging your brow. And again, here you can press your hands forward to press your hips back. You can also circle your wrist if your wrists were getting tired. And then inhale to come back up to tabletop, knees beneath the hips. And then take that left foot forward between your hands. You can come up to fingertips if you like, or keep the hands planted. Decide if you need to walk that right knee back any amount. And then pull the left hip back as you draw the right hip forward, and both hips sink down towards the mat. As those hips sink down, think about pulling the heart up and forward. Think about keeping the core engaged so that we're not resting our weight on that left thigh. Slow, deep breaths here. Just gently inviting those hips to grow heavy. And then if you're ready, you can take both hands to your left thigh. Sink the hips low again. Keep pulling the left hip back. Shoulders on the back. Shoulders move back. Tail draws down. Heart lifts up. Maybe you reach that right arm up, finding some length. And maybe you side bend just a little to the left, looking for more sensation across the front of that right hip and in the right side body. Keep pulling the shoulder down onto the back. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. Inhale to come back up and plant your hands. Exhale to bring that left foot back. Wide knee child's pose again. Sinking back. Slow, deep breaths, feeling your belly pressing into your thighs. And feeling your breath move into your back. Feel free here if you would like a little stretch in the triceps to bring the palms of the hands together and bend the elbows, bringing prayer hands to the back of the head. Or you can stay in the traditional variation of child's pose. So you can stay here for a few breaths before making your way onto your back for Shavasana, or before selecting another one of the videos to continue practicing. But either way, stay for several more breaths in Child's Pose.